sense maker.
Chief Christopher Galeman's at the mic, breaking down the noise, bringing clarity quick. Common sense solutions straight to the point. Listen up, let's get it right. Sense maker, cutting through the haze. Chief Christopher Galeman's bringing wisdom to the ways. Practical advice, no nonsense guide. Common sense podcast side by side. Life's complex issues simplified with ease. Chief's insights, you'll breeze through the T's. Real talk, no fluff, just the facts. Get ready, let's tackle the facts. Sense maker, cutting through the haze. Chief Christopher Galeman's bringing wisdom to the ways. Practical advice, no nonsense.
It's time for Chief Christopher Galeman's podcast of Common Sense.
Who am I to answer President Trump? Have you ever heard of such a thing? And the Senate President said that Nigerians are not complaining, that we like the way we are living.
I don't know whether I'll be the next, but for me, I've already told my family, my members, if they kidnap me, nobody should contribute one kobo. My grace will speak that will lead to Christian liberation. That day is coming. I'm just waiting for them. Even I will tell them, please kill me quickly, because nobody will be coming. And if they call home, they will tell them our daddy covenant last will that we should never pay a kobo. Please kill him, because my blood will be useful while I'm in the grave. He will fight to finish him. And I know Jesus has approved that.
Double Petrus, Juan Petrus, John Nash Ren, Ngo Isa Danjuma, all they are under the grave. Carlos Nash, Lydia E. Danjuma. See the name, 100 is moving to 66.
One of the key reasons why we are getting it wrong is because of people like Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi. In a clear case of a war, because he's talking about bloodshed, there has been bloodshed. Nigeria has been a theater of war for almost 2 decades. Possibly it is not affecting him directly because most of the casualties, most of the mass murders is that of Christians. He appears to be a negotiator, but to be very honest with you, he has advocated more for appeasing the terrorists rather than advocating justice for the victims. And I think it's important to us because I believe he's an Islamic cleric. He understands the concept of justice. How do you deal with a scenario of people raping women, people killing soldiers, people decimating homes, people sacking communities, but then the strength of your advocacy is that the government should appease them? Where in the whole world, in the history of any war, whether guerrilla warfare, whether military warfare, have
viewers at home, viewers all over the world, welcome to the Chief Christopher Galeman podcast of Common Sense. And at our podcast of Common Sense, all we do is just to speak to matters from the point of common sense. Recently, our country, Nigeria, has been in the news, not really for very pleasant reasons. And that is because from the protests here and there, killings here and there, and some other issues, not just our country, Nigeria, but of course, all across Africa. You have in Cameroon, you have the violence protests that erupted after it was perceived that the person who won the election, who has been there for over 5 decades, won again, and the people felt that was not a true reflection of what they went out to vote. In Tanzania, the same thing happened, and in fact, people even took to the street and even rushed to the airport. In Nepal, we're just talking about how the Gen Zs woke up one day and decided that, look, these people that are there really think of only of themselves and not of the general populace. In our country, Nigeria, of course, insecurity has put us in a bad limelight. And to be fair to this government, it actually didn't start with this government. Insecurity have started in Nigeria for a long time. On July 2009, the first attack of the Boko Haram started. And that was when Nigerians woke up to the new name called Boko Haram. And since then, for 16 years, 3 months, 1 week and a day today, Nigeria has known no peace. on the 9th of April, on the night between the 14th and 15th of April 2014, 276 girls were kidnapped from Chibok. And till today, some of them, but especially one of them, Leah Sharibu, has not been found till today. Nigerians woke up to a tweet from the man who sits at the topmost seat of the United States of America, Donald Trump, whom we all know doesn't hide. He has no filter. He just says it the way it is. And he said that, and I quote, that with the killing of Christians in Nigeria, that if nothing is done, America will be forced to intervene. In fact, he said, furthermore, that he has directed the director of war to get set, and that he's going to be swift and sweet. This has brought a lot of discourse in Nigeria. In fact, by the mention of the word that it is Christians, it has really turned the narrative, with many saying it's not only Christians that are being killed, which is true. But the truth is, no Nigerian actually should lose his or her life for just being a Nigerian. Joining in this discussion and other discussions like the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who has been in detention for a long while, and other things that pertain security and insecurity in Nigeria, is a wonderful man that I love to call boss, even though he is a very humble man and he wouldn't want you to call him boss. I call him chief. He said, no, he's not a chief, that he's just an ordinary citizen. Mazi Okoli-Ojeluigbozi is somebody that is the coordinator of the Congress of Igbo Leaders here in the United Kingdom and Ireland. He is somebody who is an analyst who has actually, over time, spoken on the way forward for Nigeria. He is somebody whose voice that I know resounds around globally when it comes to making peace. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not want to, I cannot, my hands are not strong enough to unlace the boots of this man. I will allow him make the full introduction of himself. Mazi, you're welcome to the Chief Christopher Joman podcast of Common Sense.
Thank you very much. Viewers, I greet you all with the sincere greetings of peace. In my native Igbo language, we say Udo Dilono, which means peace be upon you all. I'm glad to be here tonight to reason and discuss with you all. Thank you.
Before we begin, can you please let our viewers, just give our viewers a little overview of the man, Mazi Okoli-Ojeluigbozi.
Mazi Okoli is a young man born in Port Harcourt from both parents from Imo State, Arondizogo to be precise. Schooled in the University of Jos from Government College Umuahia, and masters in University of Lagos, and then went over to Germany, schooled at the University of Kassel, global political economy, and currently in the UK, working as an engineering delivery manager. I happen to serve the Igbo community in UK over the past 11 years, actually 12 years, as the coordinator of the Congress of Igbo Leaders UK. Overall, I'm a father of 5 lovely, disciplined children and a proud husband to Dr. Ijeoma Okoli, one of the best women in the world. Thank you.
Wow. Like I said, my hands are not strong enough to unlace the shoes that you wear, sir. You're a man whose cap has many feathers. And we are happy to have you here in our studio. And I want to tell you, sir, that you are the first guest on the Chief Christopher Joman podcast of Common Sense since inception.
Thank you.
We are
it's a
proud
privilege,
to have
sir.
you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So we're going to go straight to the point because I know you're a man of many parts and will not like to take much of your time. Let's start. Africa. We live in a society here that believes in the rule of law. One of the hallmarks of the British society is what they call the British culture. And one of the hallmarks of the British culture is respect for persons, respect for your difference, and also the rule of law. The belief that the law, everybody is subject to the law. And part of the law is knowing when to stay and when to leave. Now, in Africa recently, we have, and even till now, we have leaders who, once they get into power, sit tight and don't want to leave. How do you think this really affects development in Africa and also sense of security, sir?
I think we have to be honest to ourselves. We are living in a very perilous time, and in perilous times, things tend to happen. The first thing that we must understand is that when the colonial masters left, they left a bunch of very unpatriotic Africans, which we call the comprador bourgeoisie, in charge of Africa. And these people breathe and do everything that they need to do based on the direction of the Western allies and the Western colonizers. Now, there cannot be any leader in Africa that will not be sponsored, supported, financed, and encouraged by the West. And we have seen in the past where leaders who have come out like Gaddafi to rebuild the hopes and aspiration of the people have been crushed by the West because they dared do things that are uncommon. The West wants to see Africa as a plantation, as a continued plantation. And therefore, because of the vast mineral resources that we have in places like Congo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and the rest of them, we have these Western powers that believe that Africa should still be a plantation, should still be exploited, and therefore they have in place their comprador bourgeoisies who they support to continue to pilferage Africa. But however, the development and the advancement of Africa depends on us. In the past, it has been due to lack of communication, lack of media access to the younger generation, who it was very difficult for them to communicate and understand what is happening in other parts of the world. But with the coming in of Twitters and the Facebook and the TikToks, it is now very easy for people to share information. And what the problem I have with the sit tight African leaders is that they do not understand that the music has changed so that they can change their dance steps. They think we are still in the dark ages where the average African in the village does not have access to internet. Today, everybody has access to mobile phones and people can see videos, the TikToks and everything. They have access to information. And
Exactly.
recently, the information gathering and dispensation has changed this modus operandi. We are no longer looking forward to BBCs of the world and the CNN and the Fox lies to indoctrinate us by giving us false narrative. So today, people have access to real information and can assimilate the information and make up minds on their own. And we're beginning to see a lot of young men and women now begin to analyze things from the perspective of sometimes reality and sometimes emotional. But again, we are beginning to see the influx of a lot of surrogates sponsored by the powers that be to change narratives and hold Africans against one another. They believe that if you allow the Africans to fight within themselves, we are seeing that in South Africa, we saw that in Ghana. These are being sponsored by powers that be to keep the people fighting amongst themselves while they continue to exploit and steal.
Congo has been at war, and recently Sudan.
Yes.
What is happening in Sudan is just crazy.
What is happening in Congo is not a civil war. It is a conqueror war. The West wants to take all the resources in Congo. They are, the people giving them ammunition. They are the people giving them logistics for war. They are providing them everything to fight among themselves. But again, you will reason, can the Africans think beyond their daily meal? Can they come out and reason to say we can't be killing each other while the West enjoys and, takes advantage of our resources within our land? The Africans need to begin to talk to themselves and clear out this tribalism and racism that is eating deep into Africa, and which we've seen now happening in Nigeria since this dispensation came in. Racism and tribalism has expanded to a level that is unbearable for the average Nigerian.
You touched a lot of points, sir. We'll be back after this commercial, and we'll be talking about Nigeria. You've given us a periphery of insecurity in Africa. After this commercial, we'll be talking about Nigeria as it concerns us, the insecurity in Nigeria, the way forward, and how we can really get out of this.
Baboni International Autos. If you can frame it, you can own it. Wara's Kitchen for corporate events, weddings, birthdays, house parties, bridal and baby showers, graduations, and more. Nature's Food and Spices Enterprise. Wholesome goodness, nature's best in every bite. Spicing life the natural way. For powdered ginger, powdered kalkashi, powdered turmeric, and more. Smug Republic Auto Sales. Looking for top quality imported cars or affordable car rentals? Check out Smug Republic Auto Sales. Igbo Heart Program. Our children, our culture, our language. Apply now.
Sense maker.
Welcome back, viewers, from that commercial break. And before we went on the commercial break, our guest here, Mazi Okoli-Ojeluigbozi, has really touched a lot on some of the reasons for insecurity in Africa. And I agree with him, because it is said in the Igbo palace that when a child is dancing by the side of the forest, if you look deep, the person playing the drum could be inside the forest. And that the child that is being sent to steal by the father doesn't knock on the door. He just barges in because he knows he has backup. When you see when you see the nature of the people holding AK-47, and you now look at how much the AK-47 is, you'll be imagining if that AK-47 will be more profitable to him holding it or turning it into cash, and for him to do something with his life. It only means that truly there are people who believe that the insecurity in Africa will do them good. But let us come to Nigeria, sir. Nigeria is a country that is so unique in itself, in the sense that Nigeria has never fought an external war per se. Nigeria has been at war with itself. The 1967 to 1970 war was Nigeria against Nigeria. It was an internal war. All the Boko Haram insurgency has been internal. Nigeria has only participated in peacekeeping outside. But we've not had a situation where like Iraq that fought against Iran, or you have this country like what is happening in Israel versus Egypt versus Gaza. We've not had those kind of war. So whatever has been since after independence, Nigeria have actually been self-imploding. Now, in recent times during our democracy, like I said, I really wouldn't want to put insecurity on this government, because they also inherited insecurity. But Nigeria have had this series of insecurity. Like I said, is my opening statement, that for about 16 years, we have had, since 2009, 16 years, constantly, thousands and hundreds of thousands of Nigerians have been murdered for doing nothing. There is a narrative that it is the farmer-header clash. And I ask myself, when you hear the word farmer-header clash, it only means that some people clashed, were at war. But when you have people that go to attack a village while the people were sleeping and you start killing them. There is no clash there. That is actually murder. And when it now turns to killing anything that moves, that is actually genocide. So in recent time, we've had issues of insurgency, we've had issues of people asking for self-agitation, we've had the Yoruba Nation, we've had the IPOB Biafra. There was a time we even had a part of the North that were saying that they also want to leave the contraction as it is now. But we've had this case about a young man, Mazi, who actually, yes, some rhetorics that he has used actually could be considered to be wild or to be here, but there is no record of Mazi shooting one gun or carrying arms to actually go around Nigeria, killing people, just like how you have a bunch of people who now go around the whole country killing people. There has been no record of that. He's used words, yes, but it has never been recorded that he has actually gone to attack anyone. But presently, we all have seen videos of bandits. I mean, people that have killed, maimed, raped, pillaged, killed village, coming out in mass, doing press conferences with officials, doing things and even showing videos of their atrocities. Yet, government have said, let's dialogue with them. There have been something of dialogue, there have been repentant Boko Haram, there be this, there be that. Now, what will you say about the insecurity in the country, especially like in the East, being reduced by maybe the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu?
Thank you very much for that question. I think in the first instance, we as Nigerians should realize that we should be students of history. And the insecurity and the genocide and killing in Nigeria did not start today. In 1967-70, over 3 million people Igbos were massacred. Southeasterners basically were murdered, massacred, raped, and butchered in the streets of Nigeria. That did not end after the war. They said there was no victor, no vanquish. We had the Kanu genocide of 1980. People were killed for no reason whatsoever. We had the Medugri in 1982. We had the Zaria in 1987. We've had significant violences in Kafanchan in 1991, Bauchi and Katsina in 1991, Kanu in 1991-94, Zango Cafe, Zango Kataf in 1992. Yes. So there has been consistent murder and spilling of innocent blood with the implementation of Sharia in 2000, 2001, 2002, and Medugri 2008. Nigerians tend to want to forget because when something is happening to one person and it doesn't affect you, most Nigerians tend to feel it's their problem. But when you empower a bully, he does not stop at any point. He becomes emboldened to continue to do his nefarious activities. Now, we've seen during the election, we saw the importation of people from the Sahel into Nigeria when somebody said, a leader in Nigeria said that the baboons and the lion, the monkeys will be soaked in blood. They imported these people in. The first thing they did was to massacre the Christians in southern Kaduna. El Rufai was there as a governor. Has any panel of inquiry been launched to look at the activities of El Rufai in Kaduna? What was the population of the southern Christians when El Rufai became governor, and what is their population today? Has any deep investigation been carried out? We know what has happened in Kaduna, right? Now, when you come down to when these people were brought in, what was promised to them? They said they will give them a homeland in Nigeria. They said they are part of Nigeria. There were people who came out on national TV and openly said that the Fulanis are part of Nigeria. Although they have no ancestral home in Nigeria, they were given the power and the authority to maim, to murder, to kill. And now this thing has imploded because they are being sophisticatedly supported and financed by somebody. Think about the motorcycle they use. It costs between an average 500,000. Think about the AK-47s. Look at the shoulder launch missiles that they are using, the shoulder propelled grenades that they are using. When you look at the sophisticated weapon these people are using, they are not just mere hunters from anywhere. They are not even herdsmen per se. The herdsmen, we have lived with them in the past. All
We
we
have
knew
lived with them. We still live with them.
is that the
Yes.
herdsmen were having only dagger on their left hand side, and then they had a stick. They took
Yes.
their cows all around Nigeria. There were no problems. Suddenly, somebody introduced an AK-47 to them. They said they will go into the forest and people will attack them. That was when this whole thing started. They withdrew all the ammunitions from people from the south and from the middle belt, saying that you should all turn in your weapons. But these guys had their own weapons and were guiding cows with their weapons. But the people, the citizens who were targeted for kidnapping, for armed robbery, could not protect themselves, up to the point that they took away their double barrel guns from them. They told them to turn it in or get a license, but the Fulanis had no license. So when you look at what is happening in Nigeria today, it is an orchestrated plan to cause havoc. And some people in Nigeria are responsible. Now, it is left for the president. When you say insecurity did not start with Tinubu, yes, that is true. Now, it is left for the president. When you come in as a head of a project, when you come in as a manager, when you come in as a president, you know your responsibility first is the protection of life and property.
Yeah.
You need to tackle that without anybody saying anything. There cannot be progress where there is no peace. So the President Tinubu could have bought in all ammunition, used all forces that are required to crush these people. When they came into the east and they started taking up our forest and everything, Nnamdi Kanu was never an IPOB member. Remember, Nnamdi Kanu was in ABGA. He was a young man that was going around and thinking for the betterment of Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu moved from ABGA into PDP. We saw the videos where we were in number 10, campaigning and asking for good governance in Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu was a member of PDP. Suddenly, what changed? It was when he said, "My people are being marginalized." When he started speaking for his people, "My people are being marginalized," and everybody now turned around to say he's evil. Because what's Nnamdi Kanu asking for? Recognize that we are the eastern part of Nigeria is an important part in Nigeria. Recognize that we need fairness, equity, and justice. Give our people a seaport down the east so that the concentration in Lagos will lessen. Give our people an international airport. If you don't want to do this, then give them a referendum. What did we do? We pushed the army in. No dialogue, no call for systemic dialogue, a review, a listening ear to this young man when he was crying to say, can we talk to this young man? Some of the things he's saying, can we take it on board and amend it? There's always a lessons learned in every country. However, we introduced the Python dance 1, we introduced the Python dance 2, we introduced the crocodile dance smile 1. Now, what did these people do? They went down to the east, they killed and maimed people, they displayed them openly. These young men were unarmed at that time. All they had was a flag and a song. They killed them. And now, when you introduce violence into a peaceful protest, what you're asking for is these young men to regard themselves. Do they have a right of self-defense? Do they have a right to protect themselves? And that's where we started seeing this whole thing about ESN being created. When Nnamdi was speaking, and saying that the Fulanis are killing people in the forest. All he could have done was the southeastern governors to come in and say, listen, we understand what you're saying. We will take care of the security once and for all. And they can work with the PGs in the southeast to get things done. Look at the killing in Kwara. Look at the killing in Ondo. Why is nobody talking about it? These are citizens of Nigeria that are losing their lives daily. Somebody needs to do something. Now, if the people from Ondo or Kwara State regroup themselves and say we need to protect ourselves, then somebody will call them a terrorist, because the Fulanis will never be a terrorist. But any other person who comes up to defend himself becomes a terrorist, because you're fighting the powers that be, those who have the license to kill, the 007s of Nigeria. And that is what we are seeing. And this murder and, genocide is happening, and the Western media is not covering it. Nigerian media cannot cover it because they know they will lose their license, and people are lying about it when we are seeing dead bodies on a daily basis. We are seeing videos of these people killing and maiming and displaying it.
And sincerely, I agree with the school of thought that said, look, these guys are killing everybody.
Everybody.
They go into the mosques. There is this, if you see what is happening in Zamfara, they go into the mosques, even in Katsina, and slaughter people. They go to the farm. And if you see what's happening in Beniwari, they go into the communities and kill even their fellow Muslims. That's how I don't call them Muslims. I call them Islamists. These are people that are, because I was born and bred in the north, and I grew up with a lot of Muslims. Sincerely, if the northerners were not people that are welcoming, most of us wouldn't have been born and grew up in the north. You schooled in Jos. Most of us wouldn't have grown up in the north. We lived peacefully. Where we used to go to farm, we had Fulanis that I remember this day before we came, while crossing, some of their cattle ate some of our crops. On their way back, that man came and met us and told us that it was his own cattle that did that. And he asked what we wanted for compensation. Though it wasn't much, but he came and told us that it was his cattle that actually did this, that he's sorry. And what can he do so these were Fulanis that we grew up with, who had the fear of God, who knew the wrong from the right, who never moved with their cattle to move through farms during the farming season. They were deep in the forest. So after the farming season, when most people must have harvested their crops, they will now move. And when they see you harvesting, they will come to tell you that they will be the ones that will stay in your farm. So they will come stay in your farm after the harvesting season. And when Fulani stay in your farm, their cattle, all the cattle dung and everything helps the farm to have more nutrients. But suddenly, like you said, because of election, a bunch of people were brought in who don't know Peter or Paul or Jacob. Anybody that is just against them, they just slaughter them. And it's unfortunate. Now, with this thing that Donald Trump have said, sir, how do you see it? Because it is being viewed by a cross-section of Nigerians that the Americans are coming for our oil, they're coming for our gas, they're coming for this, they're coming for that. We should not allow them. If they come, they don't leave. And I asked one quick question. If they come in, they won't leave. Those that are inside, that are already killing people, have they left? So the question you want to ask yourself now is, we're looking at the devil and the deep blue sea. If the Americans coming in are coming for our oil, where there have been people in Zamfara that have been mining our gold for years, diamond for years. Even as we speak now, they are there killing people in Zamfara state, and they have not left. So if the Americans, whom we know, once they come in, they do the job, they get out. In Afghanistan, they did the job, they went out. They didn't carry anybody's gold, they didn't carry any oil. But what would you say, sir? Nigeria is a sovereign nation. We shouldn't downplay it. It's our country, it's a sovereign nation. No country should actually invade. But what did Donald Trump have just said, sir? How would you comment about that, sir?
Honestly speaking, the comment made by Donald Trump is quite unfortunate. Why? If you look at the international space today, Nigeria has no ambassadors our ambassadors were recalled, and we do not have people that adequately are trained as ambassadors to represent the country. So since over 2 years now, we do not have proper ambassadors all over. People are high commissioners and everywhere. So our public image, one, is zero, because we do not have the qualified people that can do that now. The killing in Nigeria of the Christians has continued since 1970. Now, Tinubu, when he came in, the president has the right, the privilege, and the wherewithal to stop this. He's been in power for over 2 years. The problem with Nigerian politicians is that they don't care about you and me. What we are talking about today, Donald Trump said something, everybody is giving it a racist
two tweets that have caused
only 2 tweets, and
everybody's running around.
They are trying to give it now a racist and tribalistic view. Why are one set of the country more happy? Donald Trump is talking about the lives of people. Men, women, children that have been killed. Hausa people that have had their over 138 villages of Hausa genuine communities have been wiped away. They are being inhabited by Fulanis. It's not just the Christian. The Hausas are being taken out in their own region. We have seen massive incursion into Kwara State. We are seeing massive incursion into Ondo. We are seeing invasion into Enugu State. So it's not just one person. Some of the people they are killing in these places are either Muslims, traditional believers, and all that. The question is, because Trump has tweeted, Nigerian presidency and every other person is running amok, apart from this noisemaker called FKK that is insulting Trump. What Trump is saying is that if you continue to kill the Christians, the international community will not sit by and watch. What it is called in international community is simply genocide. And where any genocide is taking place, the international community has a right under United Nations Charter to intervene. The Security Council can sit and say, we cannot allow this to continue. We saw that in Rwanda. We saw that with the Hutus and Tutsis, and people, the international community has a right to intervene and say, no, this cannot continue. So what Trump is saying to Nigeria is, fix your problem. If you do not fix your problem, we will help you fix it. So when people are saying they are coming for oil, America has oil. They don't need your oil. They are getting the best oil from Kuwait, from all the Arab nations. They don't need to come to your Africa to get your oil. How many American companies are even in Nigeria today? So if you look at it, all the foreign investment is going. The other question you ask yourself is, who is mining the gold in Zamfara? It's not the Americans.
It's not the Americans.
It's the Chinese.
It's the Chinese. You have Lebanese. You have
Lebanese that are doing that. It's sometimes it's the Indians that are doing this. So the question you ask yourself, what is American interest? America is telling you, you have a problem. Fix your problem. What I would expect from a responsible government is that the government should, if it was in the UK today, you will be hearing about the Cobra meetings. You'll be hearing about the war rooms. All the ministers will be summoned. We've got a problem. How do we fix this problem? That is what you expect from a responsible government, not to come out and allow people like FKK begin to insult somebody who is comfortable in his own country.
It's unfortunate.
And it's telling you something very evil is happening in your place. The truth is about it is that a German philosopher once said, he said, when they came for the Germans, no, the Turkish, we were silent. When they came for the Arabs, we were silent. When they came for the Jews, nobody heard our voice. And what happened? 6 million Jews were murdered. Nigeria is sitting on a gunpowder. We have never been so tribally and racistly divided like we are today. You can see what is happening in Lagos with the bulldozing of properties is going to escalate. And the thing is that it's going to get to a level where everybody will be sit tight in their own territory. And there will not be a Nigerian anymore. The governor of Lagos State is setting the precedence. that no foreigner is welcome in any other place. If the North starts it, everybody will leave, even Abuja, because they will lay claim to Abuja the same way people are laying claim to Lagos. Therefore, you might see a Nigerian towards 2027 where everybody will go back to their territory. And then you are not welcome in any other part of Nigeria because you are not from that place. So there is no nation called Nigeria. Since this activity started, there is no country called Nigeria. We are beginning to see Southern National Anthem being sung by the powers that be. And then you will stop the other people in the Southeast from singing their Biafran National Anthem and you call them terrorists. But nations within Nigeria are having their national anthem. Arewas are having theirs. So the question is, why do you allow marginalization of one place against the other? But what is going to happen before 2027, you will see that Nigeria will disintegrate into component parts. It will be to your tent, O Israel, because the very dangerous and wicked precedence is being set. Now, think about what is happening. When people like Fani Kayode are talking and insulting Trump, think about it that 2027, will there be election in those areas? Will there be election in Kwara? Will there be election in Ondo? Will there be election in Benue, Plateau, Zamfara, and the rest? Because these terrorists will be emboldened at that time. They could be used for politics. And that's how they've been used in the past. So we are going to see an implosion where people will take to self-help and self-defense. And once you begin to see that, the structure of the nation has broken down. And that is what we are going to see leading to us 2027. I made a broadcast once when I said that the clouds have gathered and the signs are dark.
And when the clouds gather, the vultures and the rest start gathering.
They will start gathering. They will hover over because they know that bodies will drop. And the way Nigeria is going today, look at the wickedness of the government in Oworoshoki. People were sleeping. You bulldozed their property. You made them homeless. These are civil servants. Some of them have worked as teachers for years. These people don't care about the common man. But what do? They go to the social media, they buy few people, give them money, and they're telling you it's one tribe against the other. Meanwhile, it is the poor masses that are suffering. Iworoshoki is not a tribe. These are humans. These are Nigerians. These are people that grew up there. They don't know any other place than that Iworoshoki. And you bulldozed their place, and you're going to sell that land to affluent Nigerians to take over. One thing I will never, I don't care the color of a person. I hate marginalization. I hate wickedness. I hate deceit. I don't care whether the person is Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, Igbo. I don't care, but I cannot stand the wickedness of the ruling class against the masses. And until the masses wake up, that's why when you made your reference, you talked about Zimbabwe, you talked about all the things happening in Cameroon today, you talked about the Sahel. What is happening? The younger people are beginning to wake up. But have you noticed a change in Nigeria? They are planting people on TikTok to make the Nigerians think that their enemy is the Hausa, is the Fulani, is the Yoruba, is the Igbo. That's why we are having, for every important issue, as deep as the genocide, some people are trying to give it a tribal correlation. Why is one ethnic group so excited that Trump spoke? Trump spoke as a man. When our pastors and our daddy GOs that demonstrated against Goodluck Jonathan have all gone deaf and dumb. Trump spoke because people like what's his name, Showore, has come out to speak. You saw today they've declared the poor man wanted for nothing that he demonstrated we are illegal. For God's sake, these are the only little voices of wisdom, of reason that we have. People who are saying stop before we go to the gallows, and you want to arrest them. This is Showore, who was fighting for the police, who was asking that their salaries be paid. and you want to arrest Showore, the police came out today to say, bring him, let's crucify him. When you take out people like Showore, Nnamdi Kanu, and the rest of them, who will speak for the masses? But the masses are glad. They've given them the tag. They've given them a name so that everybody will be sad and say, oh, it's too much for Showore. Why is Nnamdi Kanu speaking? He's a terrorist. That is the tag that the bourgeoisies will always give to the poor man so that they can crucify him and you will not see anything wrong in it. What crime did Showore commit? What crime did Nnamdi commit?
It's unfortunate, and if we actually the issue at stake, honestly, it's something that gives me since I moved to the UK, some people, all of us, we like Nigeria, we love Nigeria, it's our country. And but any law that I believe that any law that is selective is actually vindictive. And what I've learned here is that the law applies to everybody. The law, we see what happens in Parliament. The law applies to everybody. You are suspected. You see the other reason that that had to resign. You are suspected that you missed paying your tax or you didn't declare XYZ. We're talking about something not more than maybe £500. You are liable to leave, and that is it. So now, sir, having said all this, what is the way forward? We started from Africa, then we came down to Nigeria. We came down to peaceful protest. What, sir, in just 5-6 minutes, sir, what is the way forward? I believe somebody is going to take note. What is the way forward, sir?
One thing that I think that urgently needs to happen in Nigeria is, one, stop the recruitment of terrorists into the Nigerian army. Two, provide the Nigerian army the level of sophisticated weapons that they need to protect Nigeria. Retrain our soldiers and the police. We used to have the mobile police doing an effective job in the past. Retrain these people. Develop a blueprint for the protection of Nigeria. I saw one of the military officers saying that time has come when we can fence Nigeria against intrusion. What we are seeing today is external forces coming and wiping away our people. Should we not be mining our borders? Should we not be building walls in our border? But apart from that, we need a government that is transparent, a government that can see Nigerians as Nigerians. We do not need a government that is tribal based. And I regret to say it, this current government we have in place is completely tribal based. Look at the appointment from top to bottom. We had a federation. We want to go back to a federation. Where that is not possible, then let's go back to our regionalization, where regions can be able to go into bilateral agreement. Regions can be able to protect themselves. Regions can be able to train their police officers, equip their police officers. We need state police because these people will come from the communities. They know their communities. We need a database of Nigerians wherever they reside. We want to know who is in a locality, who is where, what is that person doing in that locality. We need to make sure that our forests are safe for our people to go in and farm. But overall, we want to see government. It is the government. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He has the duty of care to all Nigerians. He needs to develop a policy, a security blueprint that will protect all Nigerians within Nigeria. The appointment has to be fair. You cannot give the top military operatives to one particular side of the country to the detriment of the other. We need to have a fair and equitable system of governance in Nigeria. We are not seeing that. People and communities and regions are marginalized. We've seen all that. What happened to the amnesty that was given to the Niger Delta? What happened? Why is this amnesty not being extended to the East? Why is Nnamdi Kanu still in incarceration? These are fundamental. Why are they making mockery of our judiciary? these are things you need to fix the organs of governance for it to work. But look at what we're seeing in the Senate today. They are just a rubber stamp. The senators cannot even speak. They cannot. They are like mannequins in the shopping mall of democracy. We don't see. Before, we used to know the Senate will look the president in the face and say, no, something has to change. Something. But today, we are looking at Akpabio. He's a rubber stamp. He's not a Senate president. He's a Senate stooge that cannot define his role in governance. So today we have three arms of governance: Mwike, Tinubu, and Akpabio. And that is all. And that is how Nigeria has become. But without the organs, without the institutions that were set up by the creators of Nigeria functioning, Nigeria cannot function. That is the truth. We need to look at the Nigerian constitution. Something needs to change. There was a constitutional conference in the past. People made ideas, they made suggestions. I was part of, myself, Barrister Ofo, we are part of those who submitted submissions on behalf of the Igbo people. I know what we asked for. We did not ask for Nigerian disintegration. We asked for fairness, equity, and justice to be included in our constitution. What happened to the constitutional conference? Nothing. You can't believe how many
President Buhari looked at that and said,
left it. Good luck.
Belongs to the archives.
We spent hours asking people questions, taking surveys and asking people, what do you think? How can we wrote something? Myself and Barrister Ofo, we spent time on behalf of Igbos in diaspora to submit our own. Up till today, nobody has looked at it. And we wasted millions.
A quick one, sir. This is just going to be quick because we just have like 3-4 minutes to go. A quick one. What role do you see the diaspora playing in fixing the rot in Nigeria? That is one. And the second also, you just take both of them, the role of the diaspora, and what hope do you see for the future generations? Because any child born in Nigeria, since the beginning of democracy, all they've just known is war, fight, you know? So what legacy do you think we'll be leaving for the future generation? And what role do you think the diaspora can play in a new Nigeria?
Unfortunately, the diaspora cannot play a lot of role. One, the diaspora has over the past 12 years been asking for the right to vote. Because they live outside the country, they've been disenfranchised. The diasporas have asked for the right to vote. And if the diasporas have the right to vote, they will be active in Nigerian politics. And with the population of Nigerians outside, they can even make a difference on the choice of leadership.
Over 20 million Nigerians are in diaspora.
20 million of Nigerians.
And over 15 million of them are voting age.
And all these people are denied access to, are being disenfranchised.
And Nigerians' election is always running between a total of 18, 19, 20 million.
Absolute correct statistics. So you can imagine that half of the voting power of Nigeria has been disenfranchised. Now, the second thing is that, have you noticed something, that the racism that is currently going on in Nigeria has infiltrated the diaspora? Now, when you think of in the past, there were Nigerian organizations that could be used to harness the potentials of Nigeria. Organizations like NIDO and Kanuk and the rest. Have you seen the conflict all these organizations have been embroiled in? I mean, they are fighting themselves. They are in court. They have 3-4 court injunctions everywhere. So the question you ask yourself, who and how can the energy, the synergy of the diasporans be harnessed for the benefit of Nigeria? It's not just our remittance. I joined the political discourse the other day, and all they were talking about Nigerians in diaspora was about remittance. And I'm asking myself, so what they want us, why they need us, is just the money. They don't want our input into the nation. So how many times have you seen the powers that be coming to the diaspora to try and see how they can harness the potentials that we have here for the betterment of Nigeria. Rather, all the intellectuals are leaving. So can the diaspora play a role? Yes, if Nigeria wants them to play the role. However, if we do not checkmate the current explosion of racism, I do not call it tribalism, because every sector of Nigeria is over 80 million in population. The South, the East, the West, the Middle Belt. These are nations of their own. They are not tribes. But the white man has called us a tribe to make us look less than an ant. Therefore, I do not use the word tribalism. I use the word racism, because it's a race against the other. Race is not just white and black. Race can be black, but of different origin. Therefore, I do not use the word tribalism, because I don't come from a tribe. I have 80 million, over 80 million Igbos, of which I am one of them. I am not a tribe, because some nations in the West here are less than 30,000.
Well,
and nations.
The United Kingdom is less than 40 million.
Bless you. And they are called a United Kingdom, Great Britain. But 80 million Igbos are being referred to as a tribe. That is an insult to my ancestors. So I do not call myself a tribe. I'm an Igbo, and I come from a nation of people.
The way forward for the next generation.
The way forward for the next generation is to grow beyond what the leadership is manipulating them to be. If you look at the social media today, the younger generation need to begin to understand the play of the Animal Farm. George Orwell wrote an Animal Farm. Today, Gen Zs should go and read. There is the things fall apart. People should go and read. There is Toad for Supper. Who is the toad? What was the toad for supper? People should go and read. Is them against us? So when they keep the Gen Zs, the younger generation, divided across tribal lines, they can never come together. It's like when you mix the black ant and the red ant and you shake it, they will kill themselves. That's what they want to see. But I appeal to the younger generation to reason beyond racism, to reason beyond myopic understanding, and look at issues as it affects them. What today, hunger does not know tribe and religion and race.
Exactly.
Death does not know tribe, religion, and
if a flood comes, it doesn't choose
flood comes.
Destroy one
it doesn't choose at all. It goes through the whole town and rampages everybody. If the Dam overflow, the Gen Zs need to begin to think amongst themselves and leave these elders of deceit and wickedness to stop controlling the narratives. Until that happens, there cannot be genuine change in Africa and in Nigeria. And we're seeing that in Cameroon and Tanzania and other places where they have risen beyond racism.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you and this is quite explosive. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Mazi Okoli-Ojeluigbozi, Okoli-Ojeluigbozi. I am proud to have known you. And I don't know if you have any last word for Royal TV and the Chief Christopher Joma podcast of Common Sense.
What can I say? When I started my career as a journalist in Rima Radio Sokoto, I introduced the Periscope. And I remember what Sadiq Sani Abubakar told me. He said, let your program project truth. That the whole essence of journalism is truth. And in my native language, they say that truth is life. Ezioku Bondo. Where you don't have truth, there can't be life. There can't be any existence. Let Royal TV focus on the truth and bring out the truth. Let the people hear the truth and know that is the truth. The scripture says that it is the truth that will set us free. So we are in bondage without truth. And that is what we are seeing in Nigeria today. We are all in bondage because people who need to speak truth to authority have remained silent. God bless you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And viewers at home, like I said, it's been a pleasure. And this is just the beginning of a lot of beginning. Mazi Okoli-Ojeluigbozi, it's somebody that is that where you've all heard from him. And I believe that, sir, when we have the need to call you back to the studios, you will avail us. You know, in the UK, time is precious. You've just given us 1 hour. You've given us one shift. You've given us one shift. That is why I don't want it to exceed one shift so that you can go to your next shift. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And from we at Royal TV, we say thank you and have a nice
Have a nice evening. God bless you all. Thanks for listening, viewers. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Sense maker. Chief Christopher Gale, man's at the mic, breaking down the noise, bringing clarity quick. Common sense solutions straight to the point. Listen up, let's get it right. Sense maker, cutting through the haze. Chief Christopher Gale, man's bringing wisdom to the ways. Practical advice, no nonsense guide. Common sense podcast side by side. Life's complex issues simplified with ease. Chief's insights, you'll breeze through the T's. Real talk, no fluff, just the facts. Get ready, let's tackle the facts. Sense maker, cutting through the haze. Chief Christopher Gale, man's bringing wisdom to the ways. Practical